This is an unbelievable sight. You're on Facebook Live. I'm Richard Roth here in Roswell, New Mexico, at Roswell International Airfield. Behind me, thank God it's not a plane crash, the remnants of a plane from Saudi Arabia now being crushed, destroyed, all part of business here in Roswell. And there are many businesses here. Airlines fly in planes that can be recycled, regenerated, resold. Here we're watching a plane being crushed. Parts, metals, valuable pieces of this major airliner will be processed out and reused. This plane has been in the process of being destroyed for about an hour or so. And it's quick work. It's unbelievable. You can imagine how much precision it takes to build an airliner, a jetliner in the first place. This was a MD-90 aircraft with about 135 passengers. Let's take a walk over here and talk with an expert on Roswell and the facility here, Matt McDonald. What are we watching technically taking place here? That's a military jet taking off.
Right now we're watching the demolition of the aircraft. They're turning the aircraft into salvageable metal that's going to be recycled. So it's the end of the life of the aircraft.
You've been here for many years. Do you get ever tired of looking at such a sight? It's like the airplane is alive, writhing in its death throes, fighting off this caterpillar claw.
Yeah, the airplanes do resist the crusher sometimes. They try to survive and they try to struggle on. You'll notice sometimes when he grabs the aircraft, it lifts up. That's kind of its last ditch effort for rotation for one last flight.
So how many pieces can you get out of this when he's done crushing it?
Pieces of metal, millions. Millions of pieces of metal. There'll be titanium, aluminum, stainless steel, and all that will be sorted out. And the copper.
So what do you call it? The claw, the crusher? What is your favorite terminology for what we're watching here?
Airplane killer.
A little gruesome. Very simple here. This is also known as a boneyard, a storage facility for aircraft. Tell us what happens elsewhere in the field. We've seen hundreds of American Airlines planes and others parked here. Yesterday, the biggest arrival of planes being retired, MD-80s for American Airlines, flew in. Largest one-time delivery, 20 in all. What else happens here?
Well, a lot of aircraft will see life in another livery, another operation. A lot of them are harvested for parts, and they're repurposed into the American Airlines system. And a lot of other airplanes will be converted to cargo. So it's not necessarily the end of life for every aircraft that comes here.
We invite your questions to me or Matt regarding this amazing facility and site we're seeing here in Roswell. We have to be moved back. Thank you, Matt, by the way. We have to stand back because when they crush some parts of this plane, there could be flying debris, possibly some leftover fuel remaining. Take a look over here. You see one of the many aircraft that are in Roswell. Singapore Airlines Scoot.com jet, which is, as you can see, missing engines and other parts. The plane was called Big Yellow Fella, and it's one of the several Scoot planes on the airfield here, and they keep salvaging, stripping out parts all around the airport here. You can step over debris from aviation history, you might say. It's hard to escape the crusher. And you can see that airplanes, this is also an active airport for regular flights. I mean, just yesterday, as I send it flying, I picked up this bolt, which I was told by Matt here is $80. And I don't know if he's going to let me sell it. Matt, what is this?
This is a marker just for a safety area.
Yeah, well, we're trying to stay safe in this airfield. Take us out to Scoot.com. This used to be Walker Airfield. Oh, that's a different site. Maybe this used to be
Walker Airfield. Yeah. Yes.
And here, these airplanes just sit. Why is the desert here in Roswell so good for this type of activity of storing planes? keeping salvage operations. Why Roswell?
The climate. We have a very low humidity most of the year out of here, and the dry, arid climate is very, very conducive to storing aircraft.
You also have a plane owned by Elvis on the airfield here, don't you?
Yes.
Formerly owned by Elvis.
Yes. Yes, we do. It's an.
And this hangar that we're looking at here, why is this special?
That's hangar 84, P3. That is where the crash in 1947, where the debris was taken.
Well, this is the alleged famous UFO incident where a alleged spaceman was taken.
Yes.
But I've never officially confirmed by the government.
Correct. On the corner of the building down there, you'll see right there on the the end of the building down there, where those engines are at, is the famous autopsy room, where the autopsy was performed.
Roswell gets thousands of tourists for a lot because of this hangar, and there's also UFO festivals here in Roswell, all in honor of that visiting spaceman.
Yeah, Roswell's ground zero for the UFO culture. This is what started the whole.
All right, here's a question: what happened to that 777? Why is it here?
This aircraft was flown by Scoot, which is a low-cost carrier for Singapore Airlines at one time. The aircraft basically was timed out, and it is being harvested for parts by Aircell, and there's more value in the parts of the aircraft right now than there are in selling the airframe.
What's missing here in the nose? What are we missing here? What's been taken off and recycled?
Well, you can see that the weather radar and the weather radar pedestal is missing. The nose radar dome is missing. The main landing gear doors have been removed. The cargo door has been removed. All of the flight controls, the flaps, slats, the engines have been removed at this time.
I would like to have you take us into the plane in a second or two as we get away from the crusher. What happens? Let's go on the plane. Is it safe to be on this aircraft?
I believe so.
We are getting a question. Can you ask the U.S. government to help you? Well, I can't tell on these. Any of these planes salvageable preservation? I think we've covered that. But how much do they spend for recycling this jet?
The cost of recycling the jet is probably around $40,000 to $50,000 they'll spend to tear it down and crush it.
All right, Dream is asking, can you take us inside the jet? That's what we're trying to do, to go on board. Here, why don't you hold this, and maybe you could describe what we're seeing and doing here.
All right. Well, we're walking up on the jet right now. We're going up the stairs. Be very careful walking up the stairs. They're shaky. As we enter the aircraft, please be aware of all the debris on the floor and the parts that are removed for harvest.
Keep being asked.
Watch your step, please.
Okay, we're inside formerly a 777. Why don't you take us into what used to be the cockpit? I'm always worried that I'm going to fall through a hole
right here,
in the plane.
We lovingly call this the hell hole, for the reason is if that door's left open and you're not paying attention, you're going to fall.
Can you open it?
Yes.
Oh, keep it open there. What's down there?
This is what would be called the E&E bay. All the electronics and the computers are kept down here.
Still left? No, all gone.
All those components have been removed.
Okay. We're going to go into the cockpit. Got a little loose audio there. All right, take a look here. Let me get out of the way. How many pilots used to be in here?
2. This was a 2-pilot aircraft.
All right. So I'm sitting where Captain Over would have sat.
Probably.
And thrust reversers, everything else here?
Thrust reversers are here. Your throttles are here. Spoilers. And, of course, you can see your flaps and your aileron trim. But all of the components have been removed.
I mean, I'm getting up there. But how old was this plane for it to be totally taken apart already?
This airplane was manufactured in 1997.
So why do they have to do that? Why do they have to kill this plane? It's only 20 years old.
There's more value in the material inside, in the avionics, in the flight controls, the engines, the hydraulic components. It's all more valuable than the aircraft is as a whole right now.
All right. We will not be having any beverage service on this flight, if I could tell our Facebook watchers. I have to look down, which is rude when you're on television, but I do not want to become part of the recycling effort here. All right, now this is where the first class cabin was, right?
Yes, this would have been the first class cabin area.
And with the first class bathroom, always important to note. That's that hole there?
Right here. This is the first class restroom at one time. This would have been
Can
it.
you go in there?
Yeah. Sorry, that's not it. That's a closet.
The water closet, I believe, is the term in
Close
Britain.
enough.
All right. I mean, you get a sense this jet is massive there. I mean,
Yeah,
seems bigger.
They're preparing to. They have been removing the interior components of the aircraft, and all of these parts have significant value. So they've been inventorying them, they catalog them, and then they move them off and store them for another 777 somewhere down the road might need these parts to maintain service.
And airlines sell or trade between each other, right?
Oh yes, they do. Yeah, absolutely.
They may not want it known, but it happens.
They borrow parts from each other. An airline will help another airline, and then return the part.
Do they shoot movies there using these planes? I believe some films have been shot here. Are you aware of that?
Yes, there has been some films here. I'm not aware of the exact films, but some of these airplanes do get sent to Hollywood, desert, different places for.
Take a look. Let's go back further there. Do airliners submit their planes willingly? We've been asked.
Willingly to the
To the yard.
well, right now we use this facility as a storage facility only. We do not actually crush our own airplanes.
Gil asks, "Can I buy the whole aircraft and make a house?"
Absolutely.
I don't know what kind of house, but Shamin Ali says, "Can't stop watching." We'd love to hear that. Need a wireless mic? Yes, I agree. When they recycle the plane, asks Gino, do they send it to China or do they keep it in the U.S. because they're trying to pay it's higher pay for metals and aluminum? So do you keep it recycled in the U.S.?
Yeah, most of the metal here goes to a smelter somewhere in Texas or New Mexico.
How many planes do you recycle per day or per week, asks John Bryan?
That just depends on the availability of the crush pads. There's 3 crush pads in Roswell active at this time. We were just looking at one. When aircraft are completely harvested and they're done with them, then they go to the crush pad.
I mentioned Elvis. An Elvis plane is here. Elvis asked, how long does it take to break a plane apart like this one we saw earlier on the field?
The MD-90, it probably takes from the time they decide that they've pulled all of the salvageable material off, it probably takes 30 days before it gets to the point of where we actually watch the crush.
But the crush could be like the metal.
A few hours to crush to crush the airplane. 3 hours.
Yeah, to make clear, as J.W. Baker, I think, is asking, were reminding me, these planes come here for retirement. Like many snowbirds retire in Arizona and New Mexico, these planes are being retired. But the retirement here is a little bit more violent than for a 70-year-old couple moving to the west coast of Florida.
Yeah, we're not going to be crushing 70-year-old snowbirds, so they're not going to get crushed up. But the airplanes here, not all of them necessarily end up on the crush pad. Some of them do absolutely fly out of here.
We've talked for the last day with personnel here. Is there any affection for all these aircraft when you see them on the pad out there? You go around, or is it strictly business now?
Well, I actually, when I started working for American Airlines, I was doing acceptance checks on the MD-80s, and now I'm putting the MD-80s to bed. I'm retiring the MD-80s, so I've seen the full life cycle of the MD-80s at American Airlines. So yeah, it does have I do have a little warm spot for the MD-80.
A lot of good questions coming in. How many people work on breaking down the plane? And a question that just matched what I say. As we walk through, I think the coach saying, let me get ahead of you here and you can turn around. How does it break your heart watching these planes get chopped up?
Yes, it does. It always leaves us a kind of a empty spot in my stomach and heart. I kind of get a low feeling that the airplanes are getting crushed.
How many planes overall are on the airfield, retired or waiting or undergoing regeneration?
There's about 300 aircraft here in Roswell at this time.
Can you buy parts like seats, like these? Dennis Bush wants to know, can you, I guess, buy seats from this 777 or other planes?
Well, as we all know, anything can be bought. So
I can't be. How much does it cost to purchase a plane that is completely gutted out? Asks Christy.
it just depends on the aircraft and the size. And the deal you can negotiate.
I wouldn't be able to connect two wires here, but you know wherever. Like if I just pointed, what are some of your? Let walk ahead there for me, sir.
These right
what are
here,
we looking at? I'll get out of the way.
These right here are the overhead bins that people would put their bag in when they get on the airplane. This is what the bin looks like, the overhead bin. So down below where we can't see, you'd open it up and that's where you'd set your carry-on bag. And these bins right here are the same. This is where the carry-on baggage goes on this aircraft.
There's more room now, but I don't have a bag with me.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's more room. You can put a bigger bag in there for sure now. Everybody would like that one, wouldn't they? But you can see there's actually a lot more room above where the bag would go and to the top of the aircraft.
I'm glad I didn't have to pay a fee to get on this plane.
We haven't got to that point yet.
One viewer asked, what's the most expensive part on a plane?
Oh, the engines are the highest value component on the airplane.
And many planes on this field do not have their engines. Some are being saved, right? Or they're being preserved elsewhere?
Yes, the engines are being preserved and saved elsewhere. They have they have a lot of life left in them, the engines do.
Andres asked, what's someone is saying, can I purchase the restroom?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this the restroom? Did we finally find the bathroom?
We found a bathroom. This is the bathroom.
I have to go, but isn't there that hole that you warned me about yesterday?
No, there's no hole in this one, but that is the restroom.
It's just as tiny as I remembered it. Well, garbage, nothing.
Yep.
No water. I'm not going to wash my hands when I leave this bathroom, if that's all right.
No, you wouldn't get any water, nor can you get any drinking water, you see. The aircraft is disabled.
Can you tell that kid to stop crying? I'm so tired of this crying. And also, this guy keeps banging on the back of my seat since we got on. Well, flying is so uncomfortable.
Yeah, the seats are pitched to accommodate whatever the carrier wants for the amount of seats for the aircraft. So, we could put 42 seats on this airplane, or we could put 500 seats on this airplane.
How many, well, this plane does not have Rolls-Royce engines. What engines were?
Yeah, this aircraft did have Trent 800s, which is a derivative of Rolls-Royce.
Okay, there is that question. Any possibility to recreate a plane with these recycle things?
Airplanes apart out here to put another airplane whole.
Somebody's asking, I think to you, what's your opinion on Hillary's email scandal? We will not go down that road there, but there could be some emails found in this wreckage here. Yeah, let's keep moving. I was stuck there on the bathroom. Are you going to be able to recycle newer airplanes made with composite materials such as the Dreamliner? Or are they going to be worth less than older aluminum fuselage planes?
Well, that's really a good question, and that's been a debate with that aircraft and the A380 with the amount of composites in it. Right now, there isn't really a source or a market for composite material in that quantity. If there was, then yes, but for the parts, they'd be more valuable parted out than they would be, and then the fuselages would be, how do we dispose of them? That question hasn't been answered
These
yet.
questions are coming in, some great questions. Is Jimmy Hoffa in here somewhere? And I keep they're going so fast there.
We're not allowed to disclose the location of Jimmy Hoffa on the airport.
Can someone buy on the web some of these parts? Are they sold that way by companies that may own the pieces?
Most of the companies don't sell parts on the web where you can go and buy. Other people do come out and buy large quantities of parts and then put them on, different websites to sell. But most of these facilities here in Roswell are commercial aviation facilities, so they don't deal with the customer.
All right, give me short answers on these. What's the lifespan of a plane?
As long as you can keep it serviceable.
How many flight hours do these planes have?
This one probably has about 90,000 flight hours on it.
What's the newest airplane you have stripped?
You're standing on it, 777.
And here's a question close to my heart. Are you part of the Mile High Club?
I take the Fifth Amendment on that one.
How many miles of wire are on this plane?
Oh, there's probably 25,000 miles of wire. You can look. You can look here. Look at these wire bundles down here. They run through the airplane, up and down, and they're everywhere. So wiring is a huge, huge, huge weight factor for the aircraft.
Do you recycle military aircraft? There's some military on this field, aren't there?
No, in Roswell they haven't They don't recycle military aircraft here yet. It's
Okay.
not that they wouldn't. They just haven't brought them.
Well, an interesting question. Is this where the missing Malaysian airline plane ended up?
I can't disclose that information.
Well, Ivan Hernandez joining in. He wants us to join the Mile High Club now. I don't know. I'm attracted to you as a news person, but I have limits.
We'll have to talk about that off camera.
Even though we could find usage for the 25,000 miles of wire. Is this airframe still worthy?
No, the airframe we're on is not airworthy anymore.
I lost my watch in one of the 777. Can you please see if you can find it?
Keep an eye out for it.
Where does the flight crew sleep? Well, they'd be sleeping with the fishes if they were still on this plane. All right, take us to the back here a little bit, and maybe we can look out.
There are crew restrooms, sleeping quarters on this type of aircraft.
Because the long range of the 777.
They would have normally been up front. On the newer version, on the 300, the extended ER, in this area up in here, there's actually a bunk area for crew.
There were several questions that passed by my eyes, but so which airline did the 777 belong to?
My Scoot.
Which is owned by Singapore?
I believe so. Singapore. I believe it was owned by Singapore at one time.
Yeah, we were just talking about the crew rest area. So how often do you allow people into these planes? Do you know where the tours go here at Roswell? You can come in. What would you see?
Tours aren't necessarily open to the public, but they can be arranged. We do get probably more tour requests than SeaWorld do.
Do you service only Boeing or also Airbus?
We do Airbus, Boeing, Embraer.
So what combination? What is this plane made up of? This is a question.
Aluminum and composite.
Is this fun job or is it?
Oh, it's absolutely a fun job. I love it.
What do you tell people? What's your job?
Well, my job is to manage the aircraft storage program for the airline, and I oversee the harvesting and the disposition, the sales, different things of different stages. Every aircraft has a different story, has a different disposition. No two aircraft are usually alike. Every day I walk into work, it's never the same. I've never had 2 days the same here in Roswell.
And the airlines like to say they're not sending planes here like the 20 MD-80s that we flew in with on American Airlines. They're not sending them here because they just have 100 miles left on them, right?
Right. There are different reasons. A lease could expire. As we buy new airplanes, sometimes we have overcapacity of airplanes. So as new airplanes come in, we like to get the old airplanes out so the fleet is new. In the fleet renewal program, we want a new fleet. And as the new come in, the older ones must go to the pasture.
A lot of good questions. Who runs this place? Is it the government or a private company?
The city of Roswell runs the operation here, and then there are private contractors and vendors on the field that do different things.
How do you know when to retire an aircraft? Or people keep asking me, how do I know when it's time to retire? Don't chop me up here. Okay. So there's no stairs here for me.
No, that's going to be that would be a very serious fall for you. A lot of paperwork.
I've had many falls. What does not get recycled?
The insulation on the aircraft, you can see how they've removed it. You can see how they removed the insulation here and everything. They don't recycle that. Pretty much other than the insulation and some of the composite materials in the labs and galleys don't get recycled.
I mean, we're talking in the back here like the flight attendants would, right? Like, hey, are you deadheading to Omaha tomorrow?
Yeah. This is where the flight attendants would spend most of their time on the flight. Prepare meals, coffee, give you your peanuts, everything like that.
I don't know what you were going to say there on that last line. Can I buy a plane frame like this and convert it into a home? I think there's a real estate fan out there.
Yes, it's possible.
How much would that cost?
It's hard to say. It just depends on the owner of the aircraft, what they're willing to sell you the fuselage.
Do you reuse the oxygen masks? What happens to them?
No, we don't reuse the oxygen masks. They get they're disposed of.
Where's my seat? I think a passenger here is lost. How do you know when to retire an aircraft?
It just depends on the aircraft, the disposition of the aircraft, the demand for flights. Do we need 100 airplanes in service? Do we need 50 airplanes in service?
Is there alcohol on the plane when they deliver them?
There has been.
What are the weirdest items you found? Good question from Sean Morris.
We find a lot of iPads. We find cell phones. We found some items of maybe you would buy at like Victoria's Secrets, things like that on the airplane.
Is that still on the plane here?
Might be, but
What about the most disgusting thing you found on a plane?
barf,
Really?
lots of it, yeah.
Does that get recycled?
Sometimes.
Is this where the UFOs are? I guess the question. I mean, not on the plane, but have you ever seen a UFO in your life?
Oh yeah,
Really?
they're out here all the time.
Just shooting stars, or that's
That's the question we got to answer sometime. Somebody knows. The answer's out there.
what's in that hangar that you don't think there is? You don't believe in a conspiracy theory, right?
Conspiracy theory, I guess. Conspiracy theories, yes, I could believe in a conspiracy theory.
How long are you doing this job? Asked John Del Rosario.
For 5 years.
Okay. What did you do before then?
I worked in Tulsa as a heavy overhaul mechanic.
All right. Keep those questions coming. Have you ever found I don't know what that 4-letter word is, but maybe a baby? No. BOSY? I don't know. Yeah, anyway, Matt, if you want to leave through there, you can, but
Yeah,
we want the sound of the
first
scream.
step's kind of a doozy, yeah.
It's yeah.
The sudden stop at the end is the problem.
But you feel like ghosts in a plane? When you walk through an empty plane, what are you feeling?
Well, sometimes when you're up here, you know, when I was in the Navy, we had an airplane we thought was haunted. So sometimes I think these airplanes, there could be a ghost on here.
I mean, when something flaps in the wind and I take a quick look, I mean, you could use your imagination. And
Absolutely.
at night out here, and we have great weather patterns and skies.
It can get very creepy on one of these at night.
All right, we're getting some compliments, which is nice. And we encourage everyone to follow what happens here at Roswell. Thank you, Matt McDonald. It's Richard Roth, CNN, Facebook Live in Roswell, New Mexico, on board a dismantled, partially 777 aircraft here at Roswell International Airfield.